I've been noticing this year that there have been some interesting trends popping up, some that I'm absolutely here for and that I'm loving, and a few that I might be ready to leave behind. From AI generated decks to biblical figures in the tarot, and even deep diving into the Hermit year in 2025. We're talking about it all today. Let's see which trends, to me, are worth exploring and which ones are maybe fading fast to my attention. And hey, if you love talking about tarot in a thoughtful, curious way, and you're looking for a place to do so, consider subscribing. I would really love to have you here. With that being said, let's hop into the first trend. The first trend that I wanted to mention today is the card of the year with the Hermit as our guiding card. And I'm laying out some Hermits here for you to take a look at from various decks. I will have all the decks that I feature here today in the description. So the card of the year is something that happens every year, and it's a numerical tie. So 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. And the 9 in the tarot is the Hermit. So this year is all about going inwards. The Hermit is a card that symbolizes introspection and self-discovery. This year, it's about a collective focus on personal growth, wisdom, and mindfulness. I really love having a guiding light throughout the year as a collective. I know that we each may or may not participate in drawing our own cards to represent the year as a whole, or even more granularly down to monthly. But as a collective, it's really nice to have a focus and to be able to go into the community and talk about it. So for trend number 1 here, the card of the year being the Hermit, I'm all for this trend, and I love having it come by each and every year. We focus on a different major arcana card, and I just think it's really nice, and I will continue to enjoy this. The second trend I wanted to talk about today are Decan walks, and I've been noticing the past few years actually that a lot of people are really diving deep with a Decan walk. And if you don't know, Decans are astrologically tied, and there are 36 Decans of the zodiac. And so people, as I feel like you can start this study any time of the year. I wouldn't pigeonhole it just to a particular time of year, such as starting with Aries, but people organize it in different ways. And I think that this is a really cool trend that I like seeing. I'm not particularly doing a Decan walk right now, nor do I have really any plans, because I am currently going through a deep dive study of 2 decks this year, which are taking up 10 months of the year. So, and with other life things, I just don't have the time currently, but I think it's a really cool way to deepen your astrological knowledge with the tarot. It can be a good seasonal practice, like literally walking through it as the seasons come. It's over a full astrological year, and it tracks how the minor arcana aligns with personal experiences. I think it's really great to strengthen symbolic connections. So for example, each decan has a ruling planet, which is then associated with a tarot card. And I think this really helps readers see deeper patterns between planetary influences and card interpretations. And I think it can provide new insights into how tarot is reflected in real world cycles and themes as you meet them, as you go through time and enter those specific decans. I think it enhances personal and collective reflection. I love seeing people go through Decan walks. I know Marlena Teresa here on YouTube has really been in a Decan walk and featuring that on her channel for a while now, and I really appreciate following along. And I'm hoping someday that I can be brave enough to enter that kind of study. But for now, I am not. However, I will say that this is a trend that I'm definitely loving, and I can't wait to hop on the bandwagon myself. The third trend that I wanted to talk about that I've been noticing has kind of been there forever and a day, but I think people are being more intentional and having fun with it at the same time, and that's deck pairings. So pairing up your decks with different decks, whether that be tarot and tarot, tarot and oracle, tarot and Lenormand, tarot and regular playing cards. I think this is a really great way to explore your collection, use more decks in the year if you do have a larger collection. You can pair them up by colors, you can pair them up by art style, you can pair them up by energy. There's really no rules for pairing decks, and people are just having a lot of fun and having a lot of play with it. Now I see that in tarot flip-throughs or walkthroughs, even first impressions, there's a portion of people's videos where they're pulling in pairs and seeing and experimenting. I remember watching Candy Soul and Soil. I think she is like the queen of pairs. Like, I don't know, I would get goosebumps every time she would pull in pairs and how she would talk about them, and the cards that would come up as she's just flipping through just were so beautiful and cohesive and made a lot of sense, and that made me interested in wanting trying to do pairs, and now I'm seeing it kind of everywhere. So this is definitely a trend that I'm here for and loving. The next trend, number 4 here, is one that I have not talked about on my channel ever. I've never addressed it, but it's not going away anytime soon. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity to chat with you guys about it so you can learn my thoughts about it, my stance about it. But I'm talking about AI art, or AI in general, because it is taking over more than just the art world. As a writer and someone who literally writes for their job, for their livelihood, it feels very uncomfortable and threatening at times. But with the business world, sometimes if you don't lean into certain trends, then you end up losing a lot of business. And we can see that with the case between bookstores and why we have Barnes & Noble here and we don't have Borders and Walden's and all the other bookstores that used to be. But I wanted to touch on this a little bit. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding it. There's a lot of mixed opinions and thoughts. It's a hard topic to tread because it is so controversial. There's people who have really strong opinions. So there are obviously ethical issues, copyright, and artistic integrity on the line. Many AI models are trained on existing artworks without the original artist's consent or giving them credit. And that definitely raises concerns about the intellectual property theft and a devaluation of human artistry. In tarot, where artistic symbolism and spiritual depth are so crucial, I think that AI decks lack intentionality and the soul that human artists bring forward. It can almost feel devaluing to our artists. I really do feel like in general our tarot community here values handcrafted, very intentional work, and sometimes AI generated decks make it harder for independent artists to compete. There's worry around publishers favoring AI because it can be cheaper and faster to produce, and that's really heart-wrenching to me. I think that there can be a lack of authenticity within the symbolism and the depth. Traditional tarot is really rich in symbolism, mythology, personal interpretation. It's often crafted with a very deep spiritual or intuitive insight. And while AI does not intuitively understand the meanings behind the symbols, it just remixes visual elements together, and there's a lot of inconsistency with it. I don't know, it's just the soul of tarot and what it is, and AI initially don't seem to mesh well to me, and the creative energy and tension that artists bring forward matter in a deck. The thing that is really important to me, that we can't stop AI art from being out there. However, we need to be more mindful of how we are crediting that. I think that those who don't put a disclaimer of sorts that they at least utilized AI in some way, even if they are going in and changing things, which can take a lot of time to manipulate and change what you're seeing. I just think that needs to be disclosed. Whether or not you are going to use the deck, purchase the deck, I think if you're going to create a deck and use AI to help you do so, it needs to be disclosed. Just having people know that AI was used, how it was used, is important for people making decisions with their hard-earned money. So for me personally, this is a trend that I will be leaving behind. Another trend that's not necessarily new, but that I am seeing more of, which is really great, is layering the tarot with other practices. So for example, layering it with astrology, and one way to do that is with a Decan walk. One way is to just straight up study Kabbalah and astrology and the tarot, learning that planetary and zodiac correspondences to each of the cards, because it adds layers of meaning to the readings. But there's also numerology, studying the cards and their numerical vibration to deepen interpretations. That includes, you know, the numbers on the cards of the tarot cards, calculating a personal year card, finding life path numbers and linking them to tarot, exploring repeating numbers in readings, and what each number tends to mean. I think that's a really cool thing. Then there's bringing in archetypes and mythology, shadow work, psychology, journaling, ritual work, spell work, bringing in crystals and energy work with the chakras. There's herbalism, there's tea magic, there's dream work, and like the list goes on and on. So seeing how other people are bringing forward other interests and bringing them into their tarot practice and how those two mesh and correspond with each other and help bring deeper meanings, I'm loving this trend so much. I love seeing it. I love seeing how other people work with those things and how they intersect and how they're different even. So for this, I am am loving this trend, and I can't wait to see more of what everybody is doing and how they're studying the tarot. The last trend that I am seeing out there nowadays, within I think the past few years, but really more recently, is biblical decks and figures in the tarot. And specifically, I'm seeing working with Mary Magdalene a lot, and there was the biblical tarot that was released within the past year. Speaking of Mary Magdalene and working with her energy, she is a sacred feminine figure. She represents healing and redemption and true authenticity. And seeing people bring her in to work with her energy in their practice, I think is really great. Sarah at Cedar Moon Witch, she's been doing such a deep dive study with Mary Magdalene that she's been sharing on her channel. It's been a real treat to see it unfold. And as far as the biblical tarot specifically, it's really about, from what I understand, reclaiming and bringing in a bridge between the biblical and the esoteric. I don't think that at the end of the day, if you kind of study them parallel to each other, I think the general foundation is very similar, but they just take two different paths to doing so. I think it's a new way to connect with biblical energy. And for some, and I know there's a lot of people who have been really hurt by Christianity and the backgrounds of it, and it really goes personal for them. But seeing people reclaim Christianity in a new way and bringing it into their practice and reframing it, rebuilding their own narrative about it, surrounding it, I think has been really healing, and it's really beautiful to see. I think that for some, it might open the door to tarot a little bit. So this is a trend that I am definitely here for and supporting, and I'm really liking seeing all the content out there surrounding this. So thank you guys so much for being here. Please let me know which of these trends that you're loving or leaving, and if there's any other trends that you're seeing out there. These are just the main 6 that I've really been seeing pop up a lot, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to chat with you guys through some of these. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you around.